So hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today we will be discussing about the fundamentals and the basic elements of regulatory affairs. So nowadays you all would have been witnessing the boom and a sudden increase in the number of RA jobs and the importance of RA, because there are a number of regulatory agencies around across the globe, and so many different drugs are being introduced, so many different generic market, innovator market is now being implemented by so many different companies, pharma companies, biological companies. So for that, regulatory affairs and a proper techno legal knowledge is extremely essential. So RA is a field, so you can do a number of certificate courses on RA that are available on Udemy, that are available on NPTEL and so many other different platforms out there. So today's video is basically going to encompass the superficial knowledge of all the elements that are you must know. So we will be discussing them in today's field, in today's lecture. This is the content that I will be covering: the types of regulatory agencies that are available, roles and responsibilities of RA, 21 CFR, that is Code of Federal Regulation, 505 B1, B2, BJ, RLD, which is reference listed drugs, RS, that is reference standard, generic drugs, critical chemistry manufacturing control, investigational new drug application or new drug application, ANDA filing, Hatch-Waxman Act and Orange Book, drug master file and marketing authorization application, common technical document, ICH QSEM guidelines, active substance master file, CCS, that is container closure system and impurity profiling, and the certificate of suitability for European pharma according to the European Pharmacopoeia, CEP. So firstly, regulatory affairs department, it is acting as a liaison basically between a pharmaceutical company and the regulatory authority of another country. So it starts right from the drug discovery and product development up till the marketing. So its role is not just in marketing or authorize after phase 3 trials to market it. Its role starts right from the drug discovery. So you have to keep a track on the legislation of countries, because there are a number of websites, and for this making this presentation I have referred to the US FDA website, to the European Pharmacopoeia website and other official websites, CDSCO and all. So I hope that you need to keep yourself updated. So see to it that you keep on referring the websites, official ones, on a regular basis. Analysis of legal as well as scientific requirements for marketing authorization, preparing the submissions, IND filing, AND application. So there are a number of things that you need to include: label claims, then the drug dosage, direction of use, excipients, all of things that are to be mentioned in the a dossier or a docket, you can say, public, that is going to be in the domain for the regulatory review and regulatory compliance. So these are the different agencies or authorities, you can see, that are currently available. And visa for Brazil, CFDA for China, CDSCO for India. Then important one is Ministry of Public Health Thailand, Ministry of Health UAE. Then you have Poland, Peru, Czech Republic, different website, MHLW for Japan, Ministry of Health and Labor Welfare. So these are different regulatory agencies of different countries. NAFDAC, that is for South Africa, and sometimes many a times we have to consider the regulatory requirements of that particular country, and some are stringent. So there are certain countries that are semi-regulated, certain countries that are non-regulated, and certain countries that are stringently regulated or strict regulation. So USFDA, in Europe you have a very strict one, regulatory agency. So first thing that we need to know whenever we come across the terms of 505B1, B2 and BJ, that is ANDA. So 505B1 is basically a full NDA. 505B2 is a hybrid NDA. So there are label claims that are different. So you can see in this image there are label claims that are based on the results of pivotal studies. So there are two types of studies: pilot and pivotal. Pivotal is post-pilot studies, you can say. So these are different label claims according to NDA, ANDA and all. And here you can see the difference between NDA, hybrid NDA and ANDA. So scientific studies, new chemical entity, new indication, new dosage form. So there is, suppose, one particular thing like aspirin tablets. So there is now diclofenac sodium. Suppose if there is diclofenac tablets, so there are salt forms, there are different dosage form, different indication, that is repurposing. Then there is different formulations. So suppose tablets, say now they have so from solid state they are developing into a nano system or some nanotechnology, nano formulation, or some SMED, self emulsifying drug delivery system and all. So these are kind of different change in the dosage form, different change in the strength. So the strength will also change. For 50 mg, so it can be 100 mg or 5 mg. Market exclusivity, patent. You cannot get a patent for ANDA because it's all a generic drug, of course. So a market exclusivity also you cannot get for ANDA. So this is what is the difference, and importance is bioequivalence studies, BE. So you need a biorelevant media, dissolution media, and bioequivalence needs to be established. So your pharmaceutical equivalent and your therapeutic equivalent are associated closely with bioequivalence. So 505B1, B2, ANDA, 180 days of exclusivity, which is according to the Orange Book, Hatch-Waxman Act. NCE, orphan drug exclusivity for 7 years. Orphan drugs are drugs that are used in rare diseases. Pediatric exclusivity for 6 months. Then this is important for exclusivity and litigation. These are two parameters that divide these images. So I would like to thank Bloomberg Law for like I've adopted this image from that particular site. So FDA guidelines, PDUFA for both of them, prescription drug user, while for ANDA it is GD, that is generic drug user. So this is what is important about GDUFA. We will be discussing about GDUFA, PDUFA as well in ahead slides that are ahead. So I just wanted to you all to get to know about 505B1, B2 of this 21 CFR. Next up, there are certain acronyms or abbreviations that you need to know. NDA, ANDA, INDA, DMF, ASMF, MAA, CEP, ICH, CTD, AP, RP, OP, CP, NME, NC, SMPC, very important, summary of product characteristics, PL, that is packaging insert or packaging leaflet, RMS, which is reference member state, then SUPAC, which is scale up and post approval changes. So there are different SUPAC guidelines that are available that are that is while you are scaling up your pilot product. So there are certain post approval requirements or changes that you need to consider. Then there is BPAC, which is bulk active post approval changes. CGMP, GMP, GLP, GDP, that is good documentation practices. GWP, which is good warehousing practices. So these are all abbreviations that you should be well versed, because in interview questions many a times they might just ask you about these abbreviations also. They might not ask you what is it, they might ask you simply about abbreviation, so you should be well versed. Next comes the Orange Book. So there is blue book and a green book as well. Do have a look at blue book and green book. It is also interesting, but right now for our interest it's just Orange Book. So you can refer this website orangebook@fda.hhs.gov. So it is basically a book that is a publication of approved drug products with therapeutic equivalence evaluation. So this is basically identify the drug products based on the efficacy and safety that is approved by the FDF, that is Food and Drug Administration. So that is why Orange Book, and it is closely in association with the Hatch-Waxman Act. Hatch-Waxman Act, which tells us about the 180 days exclusivity, 6 months exclusivity for pediatrics, and 3 years exclusivity for new chemical indication, 5 years exclusivity, 7 years exclusivity for orphan drugs. So here you can see that I have mentioned about the exclusivity, 7 years, 5 years, 3 years, 6 months, 180 days. So this table is very important. You must know about this table. This is a very basic thing of our regulatory authority. Next comes the chemistry manufacturing control, CMC. So when we talk about CMC with respect to pharmaceutical science aspect, there is a process chemistry, formulation, analytical development, and quality control associated with it. So DMPK, there is drug metabolism, pharmacokinetic properties, pharmacology, toxicology, safety studies, impurity studies, regulatory affairs. These all are interlinking profiles that you need to have a a much more information in detail, but currently I'm very superficially just discussing them. So CMC deals with not just with product testing, but also batch release, transshipment via road, airway, railways, clinical site recipient. Then it is associated with the manufacturer. So CMC is a broad terminology that is associated with the small molecule during the drug development process. So now there is one important concept of RLD and RS. RLD is a reference listed drug, while RS is a reference standard. So RLD is a specific drug which an ANDA applicant relies in seeking approval for its ALDA, right? So it is eligible to be in the Orange Book. And when I talk about reference standard, a reference standard is a listed drug selected by the FDA that an AND applicant must use for the in vivo bioequivalence study. So whenever we perform IVIVC, in vivo in vitro correlation, IVBC, IVBE, which is in vivo bioequivalence studies, so we need to keep an account about reference standard. As with RLD, FDA identifies the listed book in the Orange Book that are eligible to the reference standards. So that is why you should know the difference between RLD and RS, reference standard and a reference listed drug. What is IMPD and ASMF? ASMF is basically active substance master file. It should contain detailed information about the various headings such as marketing authorization application, which is MA, and the medicinal products for the medicinal products in the European Union. It's for its format, its annexure, it's given in annexure 1, and then it was amended as well. So it is much more in detail, but just remember ASMF and IMPD, which is investigational medicinal product dossier. A dossier is basically a collection of documents, you can say. So it is related, it is for the investigational medicinal product IMP related data required for the performance of the clinical trials in the European Union states. So whenever you need SMPC, summary product characteristics, along with that you also need your IMPD. The CEP procedure, which is Certificate of Suitability to the Monographs of European Pharmacopoeia. CEP is a very important certificate, and even for EDQM management, it is very important. It is managed by the EDQM. It is assessment of the quality substance for pharmaceutical use, majorly the active pharmaceutical ingredients. And for the API manufacturers, it is very important to keep the conduct of inspections for the same. CCS, container closure systems, and impurity profiling. These are two important features of regulatory affairs. So when we talk about container closure, there are different kinds of packaging: primary, secondary. Primary matlab kya? It comes in directly contact with your product. Secondary means it is not in direct contact with your product, but it is in direct contact with the primary packaging. And the packaging system, whether the packaging is round bottom, round container, or is it the, how is the closure, is it well sealed, or is it pull sealing? There are different kinds of packaging systems. So a narrow mouthed bottle, wide mouthed bottle, there are so many different systems. So like for oral dosage form, there are blister packaging, strip packaging, alu, which is aluminium packaging, pouches, sachets, collapsible tubes for topical use, lamy tubes, that is now gaining a lot of importance, lamy tubes, pump devices, inserts, suppository strips, applicator devices. For inhalation, you have MDI, meter dosage inhalers, DPI, dry powders inhalers, and so many different other packaging systems. For parenterals, we have ampules, vials, that should be sterile. Impurity profiling. So impurity profiling can be of different characterization purpose, for separation techniques and for characterization. So for characterization, there can be simply spectroscopy techniques, or you can use a hyphenated technique, which is a combination of two or more spectroscopy. So LCGC, which is liquid chromatography gas chromatography system, LCMS, liquid chromatography with a mass spectrophotometry detector, LCNMR, which is liquid chromatography, nuclear magnetic resonance, LCMSMS, LCMSMSMS, that is triple MS, LCMSNMR for characterization of molecular weight, of the structural elucidation, etc. For spectroscopy techniques, we have NMR, mass, UV, IR, atomic absorption spectroscopy, fluorescence spectroscopy for the impurity profiling. In isolation technique, we have capillary electrophoresis, HPLC, TLC, SFE, which is supercritical fluid extraction. There are different kinds of impurities: organic, inorganic, residual. So it can be either starting process related, API related, or stability related. This is a very important chart. Let me tell you all, this chart should be known to you. So for process related, there can be starting products, intermediates, or the reagent chemical catalyst. For API related, either the change in the stereoisomers, crystallization, polymorphism. Stability related, any degradant product, any excipient interaction. So excipient interaction can be checked via DSC, FTIR, Fourier transform infrared spectroscopy, differential scanning colorimetry. These are the different techniques. TGA, thermogravimetry analysis. So you check endothermic peaks in DSC, and all. In FTR, you use the pellet technique, for KBR pellet technique for the same. So these are the different impurity profiling that you can see. The drug product, it can be either organic, genotoxic, polymorphic, residual solvent. So your QSAM guidelines, quality, safety, efficacy, multidisciplinary. Here you can see about the impurities mentioned in some of the guidelines of quality. Metallic. So say first Q1 is safety, Q2 is analytical validation, right? So that is very important that you know about the impurity profiling. Q6 is associated with drug products and all, drug substance. Then you have a excipient process, excipient literature, drug product process, drug product literature. So the various ICH Q3 guidelines is majorly for impurity profiling. So Q3A, Q3B, Q3C, Q3D. There are different subcategories and subsections for the same. Now the DMF, which is a drug master file. There are basically 2 to 3 types of drug master file: type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4, type 5. Type 2 is basically for drug substance intermediates. Type 3 is for packaging material. Type 4 is for excipient, color, flavorants, essence, etc. And type 5 is for FDA accepted reference information. So the drug master file is very, very important. And just like in Hatch-Waxman Act, we have para 1, para 2, para 3, para 4 for ANDA submission. So para 1 is for one in which the patent is not existing. There is no patent that is granted or listed. Para 2 for which patent has been there but it is expired. Para 3 for patent which is there but it will be expiring soon on a particular date. And para 4, the infringement patent. There is some invalidity in the patent. So these 4 paras are the basis of Hatch-Waxman Act and the ANDA submission. When I talk about IND filing application, so there is an applicant or a drug sponsor who files the IND and it is reviewed by the Central Drug Evaluation Research (CDER) on the basis of statistical data, pharmacological and toxicological data, chemistry data, and the medical data. Then there is a safety review which is given. If it is acceptable, it is proceeded for the complete review. If it is not, then the hold decision is said. On the hold decision, if it again fails to reproduce, it is given as no. If it is notified to the sponsor and the sponsor reproduces no data, again it can go for the review. Finally, the review is completed. So whether it is fit for the market or not. If there are any deficiencies, it is again sent back and ongoing studies are kept on hold. If it has having no deficiencies, the process of phase clinical trials is then elucidated. Similarly, for ANDA, the applicant or the drug sponsor application is complete, yes or no, based on the labeling review, chemistry and microbiological review, plant inspection review, and bioequivalence review. Bioequivalence, pharmaceutical equivalence, therapeutic equivalence. These 3 terminologies move together. So the bioequivalence review is very, very essential. If it's no, then there's a deficiency letter which is reproduced. If it's a yes, then the approval letter is given and the AND is filed. Similarly, these are the QSAM guidelines that I was mentioning of the ICH, International Council for Harmonization of Pharmaceutical Products for Human and Veterinary Use. So stability testing, impurity testing, GMP, carcinogenicity, genotoxicity, reproductive toxicity, clinical trials, pharmacogenomics, MEDRA, which is Medical Dictionary for Drug Regulatory Affairs. This MEDRA is very important. It is, I think so, in M4 guidelines, M4, M8. I just forgot about the MEDRA, but it is in CTD, ECTD. So there are CTD, ECTD as well, which is Electronic Common Technical Document. There are modules in CTDs that we will be discussing ahead in the slides. And these are the types of NDA. So NDA application is of 8 types. 1 is NME, 2 is new salt, new ester, N3 is new formulation, N4 is new combination, which is also known as FDC, fixed dose combination. N5 is new manufacturer. M6 is new indication, like aspirin. Previously it was indicated for analgesic, antipyretic, anti-inflammatory activity, but now it is used as a plasma thinner, antiplatelet drug. So its indication is changed, right? So that is why you have Ecosprin, that is a brand name of aspirin. Next up, you have CTD modules. So you have 5 modules. Module 1 for administrative information, Module 2 for CTD, Module 3 for quality, which is chemistry manufacturing control, CMC, Module 4 for non-clinical study reports, and Module 5 for clinical study reports. In that again you have sub modules. So that is, we'll not go much in detail. You should know about this CTD triangle. This is called as the CTD pyramid or the CTD triangle. So CTD is very important document that you have to file. M4 and M8, I think so, for CTD and ECTD respectively. And this is the important one, GDUFA and PDUFA that I was talking about. So for ANDA, which is generic drug user free amendments, and for NDA or for 505B2, we have prescription drug user fee amendments, right? Similarly, for biosimilars, we have BSUFA, that is biosimilars user fee amendment, and for medical device, we have MDUFA, which is medical device user fee amendment 3. So there are different GDUFA 1, GDUFA 2, but due to lack of time we cannot go much in detail, but you should know about GDUFA 1 and 2 and the difference between GDUFA 1 and 2, filing, application, fees, procedures and all. So these are all the comprehensive information for the CTD that I wanted you all to know. Quality overall summary, excipient information, reference standards, stability studies, pharmaceutical developments, container closure systems, manufacturing and characterization, safety, efficacy, risk, literature, pharmacological, toxicological data, clinical data. So that's all for today's video. I hope it was very much a knowledgeable video for you all. If you all have any doubts, any questions, queries, you all can feel free to drop your doubts in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer it. Do like, share, subscribe my channel for more such upcoming vlogs and videos. Thank you so much everybody for watching the video.